Give the call to member for Paterson.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And I firstly want to extend my sincere gratitude and thanks to the member for Kennedy for raising this matter of public importance today. It is a matter of incredible public importance, and it speaks not only to the duopoly in Australia in terms of groceries and food prices, but something far broader than that, and that is food security within Australia. And as the minister pointed out earlier in his contribution, the government took action and has started to take real action on this months ago now, and I stand before the House as the chair of the Standing Committee on Agriculture and say that the committee produced a report called Australian Food Story, Feeding the Nation and Beyond. And that committee had excellent contributions from Ms Sharkey, members of the government and members of the opposition. And we travelled the length and breadth of the country, talking to farmers, talking to food producers and manufacturers, talking to food and grocery suppliers. Woolworths appeared before the committee, and I commend them for that. Coles did not. But we talked to literally tens of dozens of organisations who represent thousands of people who feed millions of Australians every day about food security. And it was a serious inquiry, and I commend this report to you, Member for Kennedy. If you are truly interested in feeding Australia and reducing food insecurity here, please take the time to read it. We've made some really great recommendations, including things like having a minister for food. We think food is so important we should have a minister for it. At the moment it kind of falls between the gaps of agriculture and industry. And let's face it, everyone eats, and we want Australians to be able to afford to eat and eat well. So that's why we've recommended a minister for food. We've also gone so far as to say that we need a national food action plan. It's not just good enough to say, well, we need to whack Coles and Woolworths on the head. It goes far deeper than them, and I'm happy that you raised dairy, because one of our key recommendations, in fact the third recommendation of this report, is looking at the dairy industry and the seafood industry. So you are onto something here, Member for Kennedy, and you know it's important, and so does the government. We get this. That is why we have requested the ACCC look at this issue, and we've also asked Dr Craig Emerson, who is respected from every facet of political advantage in Australia, to have a good look at what is happening with our food and grocery supplies. But I do want to just read something from this forward. Despite Australia being one of the most food-secure nations in the world, recent developments both at home and abroad have shown that food security presents real and growing challenges to our nation. Food security is already a challenge for many in our community, particularly those on lower incomes and in remote communities. COVID-19, the recent flood events and bushfires impacted the integrity of our food supply chain. The war in Ukraine has driven up prices. The cost of energy and fuel has also contributed. Outbreaks of foot and mouth disease and lumpy skin disease in Indonesia have highlighted biosecurity risks to our food system, as has the arrival of varroa mite on Australian shores. Food security is not something that any of us can take for granted. It requires ongoing attention from industry, community and governments. And the formulation of a comprehensive national food plan is something I do feel really passionate about, setting out measurable targets and regular updates so that we know Australians can be able to afford really high-quality food, that Australian farmers can receive the prices that they deserve, not to be gouged by people that set prices, and also that we can have faith in our supply chains, and that requires a lot of investment. It requires a lot of serious investigation. But I've never been prouder to be part of a government that is actually taking this seriously. It's the first time in 2 decades. In fact, the last time we looked at this seriously, people said we need to do something. That didn't happen. we are doing something, and we are going to make Australia not only a food-secure nation, but we are going to improve the plight of all Australians who eat and deserve the best food possible. Thank you.